I would look at it in this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say I'm starting afresh, it's not that you're starting from scratch. Look at it as you're starting from the experiences and lessons you've already learned, and you are moving forward from that. Because for whatever the reasons might have been that you changed career paths or you couldn't figure out what it is you want to do, and now you finally feel that you are doing what God has called you to do, in those times, in that time in your early 20s or whatever it might have been, there were lessons, right, that you must have been learning. And what are those lessons, and how can you apply those lessons now moving forward? Bearing in mind, then at 35, you will have other lessons that 27 up to 35 would have taught you.
Hey, Chommies.
Hi. How are you all doing on this glorious Friday afternoon?
Sanbonani.
Dumelang.
Ni minjani.
Le kae?
Ripilile.
Giteng.
So what it do? What it do?
What it do, flower child?
Yeah.
Flower power.
Yeah.
Looking so cute.
Thanks.
This is Threads of Grace coming through, of course.
Because we haven't been wearing threads of grace
No,
for a minute.
Which minute?
It was 3 episodes.
Oh, you're counting. Okay, business lady, but this is cute.
Thank you so much.
I feel like this hat is gonna look cute on me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you make one for me? I want it on I want it on record.
No problem. And now you pay, no problem. You'll get your delivery. Go to Threads of Grace, Instagram, click the WhatsApp link. It will take you to the catalog with everything we have. You'll see how much it costs. You put in an order, you get a delivery. Simple as Agnama benefits, Lana, best friend. Patala.
Moving on
swiftly.
Thank you once again for the letters we've been receiving. I cannot tell you how refreshing I actually find, opening up the inbox and seeing Friendship Frequency mail.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy how sometimes you think, you're going through something and it feels like you're the only person that is experiencing that. But we have so many similar and differences in our life experiences.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, I read this testimony that was sent, and I just got so excited because one, this person, she gives her full name, surname, where she's from, with such, and she's giving her testimony about something that is so relevant to, I think, so many people, even ladies in particular, girls, But the transparency and the openness in this letter got me excited because I'm like, okay, we're making progress.
Yeah.
We're making progress in creating space for people to be honest and open and share their testimonies.
I love it.
So should I read it?
Please, I want to hear it.
Okay, guys, I know that if you're anything like Pat, then I should concentration span. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Stephanie.
This letter is a little long, but I'm just going to need you to focus for the duration of the letter because it is an absolutely beautiful testimony. Okay.
And I don't know what the letter is, so I'm excited.
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay, so we received this letter titled Porn Addiction.
Alrighty, let's go.
She says, "Hey, Chommies.
Hey.
Thank you guys for giving us this platform to share our stories. It's something that has been on my heart for some... Oh, wait. Let's start that again.
Yeah. English. I'm not the only one.
Sure. We're going to start again. All right. Thank you guys for giving us this platform to share our stories. There's something that has been on my heart for the longest time, and I've never told anyone before. And I also hope that this will help someone else. My name is Nobuhle Precious. I'm 24 years old from Mpumalanga, and I want to talk about my journey. I grew up being, I don't know the words, but a child who is so innocent. When boys would approach me in primary school, I would always run away like I ran a marathon. My friends started dating in grade 3, and by grade 6, they were all sexually active. When my friends were dating, they made me feel bad as to why I'm not dating. Like, don't boys approach me? Maybe it's the way I dress, because my school skirt was long and I never braided my hair. It was always cut short. And the way I behaved was very much like a kid, because you were a kid. In grade 10, my friends told me how sex is really done, and the way I was so clueless about what they were talking about, they laughed so hard at me and told me all about BJs, etc., etc. And she says, oh, how I regret listening to them. In grade 10, I put pressure on my mom and told her to buy me a phone, and how all my friends had phones and I was the only one who doesn't. Looking back now, I wish she didn't buy me a phone, and I regret crying to my mom for a phone. When watching TV and there's a kissing scene and the adults tell you to close your eyes, I then started being curious, like what actually happens after the kissing? Why must we close our eyes? I used my phone and Googled sex. Then that led me to porn videos. I didn't even know the word porn, nor that there's a site for it. At first, I thought that what I was doing was right because my friends actually do it, and me, I'm just watching it. As in, I only kept watching porn videos. Sometimes I would get frightened and my heart would beat so fast. I would watch the videos at noon, as I didn't have my own bedroom, so I would tell my mom I'm studying, and then I would close the door and cover myself with a blanket. At that time, it's 34 degrees Celsius in Mpumalanga. I would put headsets on. And she says in brackets, now writing this, I'm thinking how the devil would try by all means to protect sin and forget that the Lord sees everything. I went to school the next day and told my friends I'm now dating, and I would tell them the sex positions we did with a boyfriend that doesn't even exist.
What a wow.
I finally started to fit into the group and we all spoke the same language. As months went by, I started getting the feeling that what I'm doing is wrong, and I stopped watching porn. But one day my mom was using my phone to Google something, and it so happens that she pressed backspace too many times and it took her to the porn sites. And she asked me about it, but I was dismissive and told her it was a pop-up ad. And then I said to her, I don't watch those things and she must not tell our pastor, but she told him. I then remember one day my pastor was praying for the whole church, and when it came to me in the prayer, he started to mention, may the spirits to do adult things leave her. May the spirit to watch adult things leave her. Right then, I knew my mom told him, and after church, he called me and gave me a book. He didn't say anything, but I will attach this book below because it helped me a lot. Even today, I still use it.
Oh, wow.
I'm almost there. I regret watching porn. I regret crying for a phone day in and day out. I won't blame my friends and say they influenced me. No, Mina myself, I was somehow curious and my curiosity led me there. I take full accountability. I didn't know you can watch those videos from your phone, but I Googled it until I was able to find the right site. And I did all that on my own. And so miss my mind purity at the age of 24. I'm still a virgin, but I'm talking about mind purity. You can be free from porn for a year, but it can take up to 3 years for porn to be free from your mind. Sometimes you'll be trying to sleep and the videos will be playing in my head like a movie. There was a time where I was free from porn for a year, and I remember finding myself watching porn for 40 seconds. I quickly turned my phone off. I remember telling my spiritual guidance that I'm so mad at myself because just because God forgives us, it doesn't mean that I must keep doing these things because he will forgive me later, right? Mm-hmm. What I can say now is that we as children of God, we must not try to fit in. We are Christians, we are called and born to stand out. Let that sink in. I've been free from pornography for 3 years. 4 years and 5 months in my head. I'll say we need to stop justifying sin. Sin is sin. It doesn't matter if you're watching it while others are doing it. Oxalayo, sin is sin, period. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to submit my testimony. Thank you for creating a space where people can share their experiences and find hope and encouragement. I'm praying for a blessing in season 2 and for God to continue using you guys to touch lives.
Amen, and thank you.
That is a mouthful.
Do you want a sip of your drink?
I do. I'm not wearing the right clothes. Can you help me? I thank you. So, what do you think about that testimony?
Wow.
Thanks.
Please, ne? Think about your wardrobe next time. I did.
Is that fun?
Anywho, that was beautiful. I don't know about you.
Have you ever struggled with porn?
We spoke about this.
Yes.
Remember?
Are you still struggling with porn?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Right now I'm not, but we know how life is, and we know how.
When was the first time you watched porn? How old are you? If you remember.
I probably, I don't know, young, 12, I don't know. And I remember back then, we didn't have smartphones, so it was like the computer, and because you're young, same, like you don't know about search history and everything. Jiggy, my dad and my mom are like going onto the computer there, and you come up with a lie. No, it's adverts, it's this, it's that. Excuse me. But what I did relate to as well is I remember like the kids, my friends, were already sexually active. And I was around 13 years old. So they were already sexually active. And we were 13. And they would bunk school to go be with these older guys. When I say older, if you're 13, maybe 20, 21, 24, that's old. And they would school, like I would be there with my eyes wide open, and they would be there. Yeah, when the first time you do it, it's going to be XYZ, nini nani na, and telling you about, like, they sounded experienced, and things. And I also felt like, wow, I'm left behind. And for me, that's what happens, is that this is in high school. When I then go to college at 16, because of the peer pressure, unlike her, I decided to actually engage. And so peer pressure is there. And I would really love to see that book, because as you guys know, I'm raising, my son is turning 17 this year and stuff. And I have dealt with porn with him as well and stuff, because he's a boy, curiosity. He goes to an all boys are talking about these things. So I'd really love that book.
And how did you address it with him? Yeah. Speak to your dad. No, I'm joking.
I think I did. I think I spoke to him, and I didn't I don't recall shouting or hiding or anything, but I just remember me having a conversation with him. And I also then, because his dad is not around, his dad is overseas, so I did say to the dad, please speak to him. And then the dad's advice, ne? So I was like, okay, so what are you going to say to him? And the dad was like, I think his advice was something like, it's okay to masturbate, but just, limit how much you masturbate. And also,
I think they teach that thing in school, that masturbation
also,
is healthy.
Yeah.
For sperm.
And also, it's from a father to his son. So obviously, I was like, whoa. Yeah, maybe don't watch pornography, but masturbation is okay. So I was just like, actually, please. Then I was like, no, because you're not teaching what we're not aligned in that. So, yeah.
Okay.
You? When's the first time you watched porn?
I've never watched porn. I'm joking. The first time I watched porn was...
Do you recall?
Yeah, I do. It was like standard 1. What is that?
Grade 3.
Grade 3?
Post standard.
Standard 1, grade
That's
3.
how old we are.
That's how old we are. At a friend's sleepover, right?
You even remember?
Yes, why I remember it specifically was because as I exposed myself. Anyway, I get this. I'm not transparent here. My first porn that I happened to see at a sleepover was actually lesbian porn.
Whose idea was this?
Hey, I mean, that was not my idea. That I know for a fact. I know.
Where did this friend of yours decide to click? How old was your friend?
Well, the same age.
And your friend's like, come on, I want to show you something.
Well, if I remember correctly, she had an older sister.
Okay.
And I think the older sister somehow called us or left it on, but somehow I just remember that my first view of that was two women. And that was... Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? No, why are you laughing?
Makes sense.
What makes sense, Pat?
That you were traumatized from that age. I would be traumatized.
No, okay.
Too.
All jokes aside, I genuinely believe that my curiosity where females were concerned when I was younger stemmed from the fact that that was the first, genuinely and transparently and jokes aside and openly speaking, that is my first exposure, to really what I just went, wow, their feelings.
That's how it's meant to be.
And also the feelings arose. And so
at that age.
Wow. And I thought that I must then maybe just like women at some point. And I was young. I was like...
You liked women at some point?
I did.
Really?
I don't know that this is making the cut. We will see. No, I did. Well, I was confused. I remember definitely like having a season in my life where I was like, I'm not feeling that the male species are my thing, And I remember even having the conversation honestly with my mother. I even remember having the conversation with my brother.
Wow.
They flat out told me, that's not of the Lord. But they were not condemning in any kind of way. Like my mom... It's like, the whole thing, you're my daughter and I love you, but blah, 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 blah. But I think for me, that's where I remember back to like where I watched it, it made me feel a certain way. And I think that was a seed.
Sure.
That now was planted.
Definitely was.
And so I think the problem with porn of any kind is it distorts sex and what sex should be like. And when you exposed to it at an age where really you do not even have the maturity to comprehend anything in terms of the magnitude of what it is that you are watching, it's sad. And I think why I'm saying also it's sad is because probably my mom was like, she's at a sleepover with her friends. You think in innocence that there can't be anything. And so many young people and even older boys, girls that started watching porn at such a young age, will tell you that it stemmed from just like, what's her name?
Is it Mpumelelo?
Yeah, no. What's her name? I'll tell you now. But it stemmed from a place of curiosity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobuhle. That you're curious. You're like, but the curiosity also comes from the fact that we are created even at a young to like feel certain things, and now you start to feel certain things, and you start to feel a certain way. And anyway, it was never meant to be that way. I want to say, thank you for your transparency and thank you for your openness in sharing this testimony. I think that what I find beautiful also about it is the fact that you can look back at it right now and you can say that just because you're not actively engaging doesn't make it's a lie, it's a deception. Since you're not actually doing the act, but you are watching it, that it somehow makes it okay, it makes it right. You still have
I used to think that.
Yes.
I was like, I'm not
creating soul ties,
Yeah.
But at the same time, the porn is very destructive.
Yeah.
In one's mind, and so we have to be very careful and protect, especially our kids, and be very aware of what they're watching.
Definitely.
And consuming in this day and age.
Yeah.
Rulani will wait until she's 18 for a phone. And the funny thing is, you'll not get a phone, but you'll find it. You'll find it. You know what I mean? You want to say anything else on that?
Sorry.
Rude.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if I should mention this, or you let me know as I talk, and then you'll cut me if you like. But like, I remember, like, I would really feel sad if Tamaku was to come across porn, because there's something that it does. When kids are exposed to some kind of sexual act like that, there's an innocence. Their innocence is stolen. I remember my innocence being stolen in the sense of when I was born in Botswana, I knew nothing about all these kind of stuff. And when I came to South Africa and now I'm living with cousins, older cousins, it's always the older kids. But then there's someone also influencing them, right? And now you get caught up in, I think a lot of people will experience this. Now you're getting caught up in nonsense where older kids are now teaching you naughty things. And I remember being robbed of that, learning how to kiss at the age of 5 or... It's graphic, but now you start doing, isn't this naughty? We know the stoat we are talking about. And it's the innocence being robbed, because I remember when that happened to me, and I started engaging in all of that, an innocence was stolen from me. Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. But I also think that what it does is it positions you in a way to normalize certain things about sex, intimacy, that is just very worldly. And so when you have a different view, like now, no, you want to wait for marriage and so forth. You've been exposed to this for so long that you actually think that it would be abnormal to experience, you know what I mean, sex within the bounds of what it was created. You actually feel, like she was saying, she felt out, and this thing of wanting to fit in because all the other kids and, the peer pressure of all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so I think, as parents, it's so important for us, we can't 100% of the time. A lot of it is, we have to, in faith, I guess, pray and cover our kids. But also just be very, very involved, very hands-on. I mean, if you're sitting with if you've got kids and they're on their phones like constantly, and you think, oh, my kid is good, they're not catching on anything. No, be inquisitive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Be inquisitive. Make sure there's no privacy. Privacy for who? In which land of the living whilst you're a child? Do you know what I'm trying to say? And also, you even have to watch the things that you think is innocent, because sometimes they'll be watching and then certain ads come up. Like, it literally takes so little to plant these seeds and know where your kids are going and who they're with and all those kinds of things. Like, we have to try our very best to make sure that we are just a lot more like...
You can try. You can. Honestly,
that's what I'm saying. You can try.
Then your kids go to school,
and then you don't know what
kids are exposed to.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. As far as we're able to, a lot of it does come. Like I'm saying, I don't think Mama will be the furthest thing from her mind that while I'm at a friendly sleepover, that this is what the older, sisters or whatever the case might be are exposing us to.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Anywho,
we might do an episode on porn. I think it would be a good
whole episode on porn.
Yeah. Porn addiction. People never speak about porn addiction when it comes to females. It's always just marked as a male thing. Primarily, don't you think?
Yeah.
And also normalized.
Like if you find your son watching porn, you kind of go, oh,
it's a boy. It's a boy thing. It's what they do.
Yeah. And then if it's a girl, it's a bit of like a shock.
All right. Here we-
Alrighty.
Oh, you're going to read this letter.
Let me use my radio voice.
Oh my gosh.
So here it goes. Hi, Stephanie and Petronella. I saw a video on your story about the Chommies sending emails on anything we'd like to ask for season 2. Can you please share your thoughts, experiences, or advice on starting afresh at an age where life should already be making sense? I'm a 27-year-old female and studying a course that I believe has been a calling from God, and in the past years, I've been studying things that aren't aligned to my purpose and obviously didn't complete due to other factors. Basically, just starting afresh and not feeling bad and beating myself up for realizing too late, when at this age I should have achieved a whole lot. There are a lot of things that I'm ashamed about that I haven't done. Another big one is that I don't know how to drive. Oh, Bayuti. I believe you both are the right women to advise on such, because obviously being a Chommie, by watching Friendship Frequency, you both have shared a lot and inspiring me in many ways. There's a lot you both speak on and share that helps me as a woman navigate life. I don't have any friends, and that's another aspect that I'm trying to understand. I think I'm very much reserved for some people, or maybe I haven't met the right type of people that would like to grow in a friendship or sisterhood situation with me. I love you both very much, and I'm happy to be a digital friend to such awesome and humble women. Thank you for the work that you both are doing. I appreciate it, and you both are impacting my life, and I know I speak for every Chommie. Y'all are like big sisters to me. Thank you so much for reading my email.
Oh. Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, are we saying names?
Did you not say her name? Guys, we need to fix this thing here. She's signing her name.
I just feel like maybe some people don't know to say anonymous.
There's no way. How can other people know? Like, if I'm writing a letter and I don't want to be known, I am not signing my name.
True. Ah, that was such a beautiful letter. Oh, by it. 27, eh? Feeling old.
Yo, feeling very old right now. I'm feeling very old.
But I'm sure, my friend, even at that age, we thought we were old. And even at this age, mid-30s, we feel like we're old.
And at 40.
And at 40, we're going to feel like we're old. At 45, we're definitely going to feel like we're old. So I understand. Ugh, man, the one that touched me is when she spoke about driving.
Well, can we answer her question? My first question is, according to whose and what standard? I think I would look at it in this way, right? When you say I'm starting afresh, it's not that you're starting from scratch. Look at it as you're starting from the experiences and lessons you've already learned, and you are moving forward from that. Because for whatever the reasons might have been that you changed career paths or you couldn't figure out what it is you want to do, and now you finally feel that you are doing what God has called you to do, in those times, in that time in your early 20s or whatever it might have been, there were lessons, right, that you must have been learning. And what are those lessons, and how can you apply those lessons now moving forward? Bearing in mind, then at 35, you will have other lessons that 27 up to 35 would have taught you. And that is just the natural flow of life, right? Yeah. And so my first thing would be to ask you, according to whose standard of living,
whose calendar,
and whose calendar
are you
behind on? Yeah. Like, is it society? Is it according to
family?
Is it according to the goals you set for yourself? So that's who, right? That's the first thing. And secondly, I would encourage you to offer yourself a bit of grace. Offer yourself a little bit of understanding, all right? And not be so hard on yourself, because I feel like it's sounding like you're beating yourself up
Yeah.
for wasting time or whatever it might have been, as opposed to appreciating the space that you currently find yourself in. Fine, you don't know how to drive at 27. Ain't a train smash. Do you want to know how to drive? It's not too late, you know? Get some driving lessons, figure out how you can start learning to drive at 27. There are so many people, successful people, multimillionaires, billionaires, that started when everyone thought their life should have actually been at point XYZ, right?
Yeah.
Even if we bring it to the Bible, sorry, I'm rambling, but even if you think about certain, I think off the top of my head, like in the Bible, your story of Hannah, or your story of Ruth, or even your story of Sarah, you know, these women were at a time where it was such a foreign concept. Like for Hannah, she was pleading and begging and crying out to God for a child. You were frowned upon in society if you couldn't bear a child.
Yeah.
At some point, she was at the where they pray. What is it called? The tabernacle or whatever. And the priest thought she was drunk because of how she was pleading, right? And eventually, God answered her prayers. And in the timeline of the time that they were in, she was way behind with having kids. Do you know what I mean? According to society's timeline. Sarah done had the promised child, like, how old was she? You know what I mean? And then if you think about Ruth's husband died, and then, you know, go read all these stories, guys. Ruth's husband died. She decides to follow her mother-in-law, Naomi. And then, you know, she's found by Boaz.
Yeah.
And that's why women are like, I'm waiting for my Boaz or whatever. But the point is, there's even instances of women in the Bible and stories in the Bible where, according to society, they might have decided that your time is up. You should have had a kid by now. You should have done this. You should have. But that's society. That's not God's time for you. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Hence why I'm asking, according to whose calendar? According to what? And just as a side note, this is going to make us sound very old. 27 is very young. You've got your whole, like, lifetime ahead of you. Trust me.
I think we need to take the same advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
Giving ourselves.
and say at 35, 34, 35, we're still young, you know, because if you talk to a 60-year-old, sorry, and then they go 35,
you're so young.
What?
It's relative.
You know, it's relative. Like Steph said, everything. I don't know if I can add anything else, but definitely just give yourself some grace. At least uyazama. You know what I mean? You're pushing forward. You're trying. You tried something and you felt like, actually, it's not my calling. This is what God is calling me to. And at least you're being obedient in that and you're trying. And for me, wow, I know we say it, but I don't think we realize, or I don't realize sometimes, the sisterhood and the types of people's lives that we're impacting and touching, and just having the whole Chommies community is so beautiful. So thank you so much for finding a sisterhood in us.
Agreed. Also, you say here to give advice on starting afresh at an age where life should already be making sense. Can I tell you something? Currently, right now,
As we sit here.
I don't even know which camera. Should I zoom in when I tell her this? Like, let me tell you something for free. As I sit here, 34 going on to 35.
Yes.
Do you know how right now life ain't making sense to me? It did make sense at one point. It's not making sense right now.
Yeah.
And so don't have that expectation of life. Oftentimes, we will go through seasons where things are just not making sense. It's not like you reach an age and something magically happens where everything in life just makes sense. That's the first thing that's just not going to happen. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, right? There's a lot of things in my life right now that just don't make sense. But even in it not making sense, I'm trusting God that as long as He makes sense, I just trust in the one who makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then I also want to say God is a God who is concerned with every detail of our lives. He's not just concerned with the big things. He's concerned with who our friends are, who, what we're doing on a daily basis. Like he's in the details. He is a God of the details. So my encouragement would be pray into it. And I know that's going to sound repetitive because we say it a lot, but it's because it's true.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you as part of our digital circle of friends, of course.
Yeah.
But if really it is your desire and heart's desire to find friends and a sisterhood, pray about it and say, Lord, please help me, like meet people and sisters and friendships that I can grow with and that can, honor you. And then second to that, you got to open yourself up to that, because there's no point in asking for that, but then a lot of us are closed off, right? Maybe someone comes in, they walk into the room, we're already starting to, create a whole bunch of stories in our mind. So I think you have to be open to be like creating new friendships, right? But you also pray about it and ask God and tell him that, because he is concerned with every detail of your life. But keep your head up. I'm not going to give you formulas of starting from scratch and all that kind of stuff. Just continue to seek God. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. What was before happened, and what are the lessons that you can take from that? How can you now move forward? And trust me, you will have much more lessons. But when you get tired, stop to rest, but never give up. Move forward one step in front of the other. And you'll have moments where life makes sense, and you'll have other moments where it just completely makes no sense.
If you watched us in season 1, you would have heard my story in terms of like, what's been happening in terms of my acting career. So for me, it's also been, so for me, right, my 20s, thriving in my career, amazing in everything. I don't know what happened when I entered my 30s. And it happened like quite immediately, actually, like 30, 31, where everything. So now I started like tumbling down and all of that. But like now I find myself at 35 going, like, so starting afresh. This is what starting afresh is creating threads of grace, is teaching yourself how to crochet because it's therapeutic and healing to you, and starting a business and starting a production company for Steph. This is what we're doing in our mid-30s. So we always hear stories like, it's never too late. If you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, some other people, I remember, because I didn't study in South Africa, and I remember I came back to South Africa, I think when I was 20, and I didn't do well in school. I didn't care for school. I only wanted, the arts and things, and I really wish I did well. And so I remember going, okay, let me apply at Wits. But then I was like, oh, my marks aren't too great, so I'd need to, and I was like, yo, tabanga, nginzi metric or whatever, and things like that. At 20, you think you're old. At 25, so it's never too late to go back to school to study and things like that. And with even just like sharing something random, I was like, maybe I should go back to school, actually. Let me go get my honors, Bachelor of Arts in performing, or whether it's film. And I'm 35, so it's never too late. And I said to Steph, maybe we also need to take our own advice, because we feel like we're old. Like, maybe we're oversharing, but remember, my friend, we were like, Steph and I had, not because, just separately, we had a timeline to when we would have our last child. Like individual, like my conversation with God was like, I'm not having a child after 35. You the same, ne? Was it 35?
35 was cut off, yeah.
Yeah, 35 was cut off.
I'm not pregnant.
Are you okay? What's going on? Anyways,
because we had this conversation. Not having a child was after 35, so I just wanted to figure in there,
just FYI,
disclaimer. It doesn't mean that I plan in 36 and will be having a child.
Please forgive my friend, guys. Gunini.
Mo
But
will
anyways-
edit. Don't worry, Mo will edit. Look at Momo's like.
But anyways, I don't know where that came from, the passion and everything. But anyways, as I was saying, whether it's God's will for me to one day meet my husband, and let's say we decide to have a kid at 38. I don't know about 38. Jesus and I need to have a conversation. But yeah, because to me 35 is old and all of that. But you get what I'm saying.
We get it. Let's move on.
Let's move on to our next letter. Thank you so much, Anonymous.
Stop it.
Debbie. Carry on.
Final letter for today's episode. This one, this person is asking us many questions. Let's see how it goes. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Petronella and Steph. I'd please like for you to consider the following questions and hear your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell your 22-year-old self knowing what you know today? On parenting, on double standards, for example, girls can't do but boys can. I think that will make for an interesting debate. Also about being bold about your faith in a place where it's frowned upon or where people think you're weird. Handling conflict, fight, flight, or freeze. Personally, I'm flight, but lately in my old age, I'm all about the fight.
Yes, girl.
Okay.
Or yes,
So
boy.
let's start. Yes, girl or boy. Let's start with what would you tell your 22-year-old self, knowing what you know
listen,
today?
I think let's just pick what we want to answer. Zif, 20 lama questions.
It's not that
Be his cut. So we're not going to be able to answer all of
Ow.
them. Sorry. But let's just choose. I would definitely like to go for the last one. Addressing matters. Flight or fight? Mina, I'm flight. Even in my old age. Guys, I don't know how to address conflict. I really, I don't know. Or not even conflict. Why should it be conflict? Like, let's say Steph has done something to me, or I felt some kind of way. Maybe she spoke to me in a certain way. I don't know how to go, Imagangani, don't talk to me like that. Please, can we watch the tone now? Me, I keep it in. I keep it in. Jiggy, one day. Why are you talking to me like that? And she knows this very well. And things. But like, I don't know. I really dig people that are able to address things now and be like, and nip it in the bud.
There we go.
Not in the butt, but in the bud. Anyways, so
What do you think I am? I'd be interested to know.
ooh,
Apparently there's, fight, flight, or freeze.
what would freeze be considered? What is freeze?
Like, I think, like if something happens, like you don't run away, you don't respond, you just kind of freeze. Like
I'm both.
You just don't even know, and you're at a
actually-
loss for words. You're not leaving the room, but you're in the room, but you're not saying anything.
both.
Or if it's a dangerous situation, you also not running away. You know, like if you, I don't know, maybe somebody holds you at gunpoint. There's maybe someone who will try to fight. There's someone who will run in the opposite direction. Like, what would be your response? And others would freeze.
I'm freeze and flight. Because when things tend to happen, I tend to like digest it and I don't, and even though I can hear the tone, like things can be happening, but I'm quiet about it, and then I go and unpack it with myself. And right now I'm really trying to work on the Lord's wisdom and stuff, because if I rely on my own feelings and my own wisdom, then it's going to get ugly, and then I'm going to say the wrong things. I'm not going to be thinking straight. If I feel offended, I sort of have to go, but why do I feel offended? What's actually happening? And God, please give me wisdom regarding this matter and stuff, because usually I'm on the attack. Defense, whatever it's called. I think it's really spicy. I think you'll fight, but fight in terms of, look at her. Why are you doing this to your face? You asked me to respond. Like, So I actually think you're not flight in terms of, I don't think you're freeze, but you're also, I think, maybe similar like me. You notice and then you'll go away.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if that's considered flight,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll go away. But best believe
And coming back with the fight.
she's coming. Ha! And then we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas you, no, she's a fighter when it comes to her faith. I need to mzwile last time. Ukuthi lapho akadlali. So when it comes to fight, like when it comes to like matters where you're not willing to play about, like certain like serious matters, no, my friend, you're a fighter there. When it comes to whatever, it will be a fight. But then if it's other little things or not whatever, you will go away. You will gather yourself and your words. But yeah,
Okay.
did I get it right?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I think I can be all of these things sometimes,
Yeah.
depending on what the situation calls for, to be honest with you. I don't think I have one that I think is the overbearing one. I think I have sometimes responded with a fight in me. I've often responded with just leaving, flying out of there, even sometimes as a result of avoidance. And I think sometimes I've also just, in certain moments, completely just been at a loss for words. So I think
Okay.
all of them.
Right.
What would you tell your 22-year-old self, knowing what you know today? I love this question. I think I posted on Instagram not so long ago, and I asked people, what would you tell your younger self? And it was so interesting to see the responses. Some of them were very sad, really sad. But it was very interesting to see, as time goes on, how life shapes us. And I think I don't know. We talk about so many things. I think I've even given this answer, but it doesn't matter. I'll give it again. I would definitely tell myself to slow down. Like why are you who are you competing with, and why are you competing with them? You don't even know them, you know? I would definitely tell myself to slow down, take a step back, just a little bit, and think about what you really want, right? First of all. And then secondly, really take your prayer life so much more serious. I think so many people would actually tell themselves that later on they realize, I was playing games. But honestly, in your 20s, don't think it's your 20s, let me YOLO, I'll get to my 30s when I'll take life seriously. Take your prayer life seriously. You save yourself a lot of unnecessary heartbreak and unnecessary delays and unnecessary many things. Take your prayer life seriously, right? And ask of God what he thinks about certain things. Like I said, in the details of certain stuff. So I think I would slow down.
Yeah.
And I would really just say to myself, step back.
Yeah.
What are you in a rush for? Why are you in such a rush to get things done that you think need to be accomplished by a certain age?
When I think about our first letter from Nobuhle, the testimony, right? She's 24 years old. And what I really love about her letter, and just seeing the journey that she's been on, is how firm she is in the Lord. And then I think about Steph and I when we were 22.
I don't know why I'm being roped into this. Speak for yourself.
I don't know how to say this, because we were out there living our lives. We were out there and when we weren't hectic, but it was
When are you hectic?
I was hectic. No, I wasn't hectic.
No, we weren't. Relative. It's all relative. But why are you searching me up and down? Sure. But I think what was the other question? Have you ever had to be bold? Being bold about your faith in a place where it's frowned upon, or where people think you're weird?
I mean, I think of recent, I remember growing up, and if I, saw people that were deep in the Lord or hectic, just were very passionate about the Lord, I used to go, wow, they're a bit too much, and things like that. And I then go, and then I think of myself like as a parent, and I'm going, am I being too hectic when it comes to my kids? Am I being too much? Am I now that very thing that I used to look and go, wow, it's a bit too much? I of recent, I've been really just thinking about it and stuff. And I don't know. I feel like there's been such a movement, and there's been such a yearning for the Lord right now. There's been a huge revival, which I'm very happy about. Different podcasts or different, there's a lot of people that are finding the Lord. And so, no, I think we are going to probably rub people off the wrong way. We are going to seem a bit too much to other people, but that's okay. That's all right.
Okay. Thanks, friend.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Chommy.
Okay.
Happy editing, Mo. That brings us to the end of yet another installment of the frequency. Remember our first thing, we got so excited. Tune into the frequency of our friendship.
Ooh.
Maybe you should say it with your radio voice. I could use someone told her she has got a radio voice. Now we have to hear about it.
Why are you
all
putting
the time?
Phones on? Why?
Here we go. And 3, 2, 1.
Tune in to the frequency of our friendship. Mo's laughing.
Guys, please don't forget that we are growing this community of Chommies with you. And so a new thing that we've introduced, if you are new here and you haven't watched last week's episode, please go check out last week's episode. But what I said was that on Sundays, we will be like joining via Zoom. And chatting about Friday's episode, going through some of the comments. We'll be live on the Zoom. Sometimes we might have a special guest, but you have to follow us on Instagram to kind of, know what's happening, like, if we have any surprise guests or anything like that. And also, in order to join the Zoom chat, you do need to send us a message on WhatsApp. The numbers are below and in the description box over there. So send us a message and then we will send you the Zoom link. And this is just a way for us to connect and pray for the week ahead. So we'll see you on Sunday. Have a fabulous weekend. Stay safe. Love one another.
Yes.
Love the Lord. And we love you.
Thank you, Chommies.
Bye.